What will you find in one of the worst places in the world?
Life in Katwe is very challenging.
Something amazing.
I realized that there is something special with this girl.
The incredible story of the Queen of Katwe.
From that day, that's when I said, I have to beat every boy.
On today's 700 Club Interactive.
I do believe that we shall live together someday.
On 700 Club Interactive, we use technology to pray for each other and explore topics that matter to you. Watch what God is doing in the world today. Well, hello and welcome to 700 Club Interactive. Today we're going to start with a question. What's your favorite underdog story? Is it Rudy? Is it Rocky? Well, today we're going to show you one that will blow them all out of the water.
This one begins thousands of miles away in the last place you'd think to find a champion. Wes Rickards brings us the story of the Queen of Katwe.
To be African is to be an underdog in the world. To be Ugandan is to be an underdog in Africa. To be from Katwe is to be an underdog in Uganda. To be a girl is to be an underdog in Katwe.
Located in the shadows of the Ugandan capital of Kampala, Katwe is, in all sense of the word, a slum. It's a place where refugees were shooed because no one else wanted to live there. The place is a literal sewer. Crime is rampant, as is drug use and prostitution. Half of all teenage women are mothers. They say if you're born in Katwe, you die in Katwe. It's not much better in neighboring areas. Uganda is under constant threat of civil war. At one point, 15% of the population had AIDS. The average person gets by on less than $1 a day.
Yeah, life in Katwe is very challenging, I would say. Because the people who actually live in Katwe are people who have no choice. If they had a choice, they can't be in Katwe. And it's the only area that they can afford to be in. Sometimes it's hard even to explain how people really stay there.
Every day at 6 a.m., Robert Katende arrives here, a rundown structure that doesn't look too out of place here in Katwe. The building is called Agape Church, which is part of a U.S.-based ministry called Sports Outreach. Katende is the ministry director here.
I very much believe that, more especially when it comes to the children and the youth, everyone loves to play, for sure. But many times, people are not given the opportunity. And some of these children always don't have a chance to even play because they are always struggling to survive.
As you can imagine, sports is heavy on the agenda here. The boys take quickly to soccer, and dozens of children show up every morning. Many of them don't go to school. Some are orphans. Few are homeless. All looking for guidance in their own way.
So when they come, the first thing is to try to show that you really care for them. You are there for them. You play together. You encourage. So eventually they get to bond with you. And then you're able to direct them to some other life they have never seen.
While soccer is popular, there are drawbacks. It can be fast, it can be violent, so not everyone joins in. Robert noticed that and started thinking of other ways to get everyone involved. Finally, he thought of a board game so foreign, there's not even a word for it in his native language.
Actually, it really disturbed me greatly. I battled with the idea for almost 3 weeks because I even tried other games before chess. But eventually I overcame that when I asked myself, what am I basically looking for? I'm looking for just a platform. Let me just get the board and introduce them to the new game.
There are over 280 billion different positions that are possible after only 4 moves. Robert was going to teach this game to a bunch of kids who didn't even know how to read.
Whatever you go through on that board actually is what we go through in our daily life. It requires strategy. It requires abstractive thinking. It requires concentration, focus, time management, everything. Talk about any concept. We need it in our life.
And one day, While talking to slum kids about pawns and rooks and kings, Robert noticed something. A 9-year-old girl in a window.
The first day, I just took her like any other child. In fact, when she came, my first question was, how will she feel at home?
To say Phiona Mutesi was a 9-year-old might be a bit of a misnomer. The truth is, no one knows how old she was. We know that she was born in Kotwe. We know her father died when she was about 3, possibly due to AIDS. And we know when she first appeared in the window, she had just walked several miles and was only looking for something to eat.
So that day, I remember I was very, very dirty. And I was always very, very hungry. So my brother came and told me about the chess program they always had. So that day I was able to learn chess and again even to get a meal.
Now, chess isn't an easy game to pick up. And when Phiona first started playing, she lost. A lot. But she still kept playing.
There was a boy who used to beat me every day. So one time I went to Coach Robert and he taught me how to defend that opening. So I went back to play this boy. When I played him, I happened to win him and he cried. From that day, that's when I said, I have to beat every boy.
Every day, Phiona trudged miles through Kotwe just to play chess. Some neighbors poked fun at her, calling chess a white man's game. Most didn't care. So Phiona continued to learn from Coach Robert.
And within that short time she had been in the program, I realized that there is something special with this girl. Like you could teach her something and she could easily pick it up.
There's one thing he had to break. Robert saw that Phiona had been playing aggressively, so he suggested a different strategy. Play like a woman.
Sometimes the environment they stay in teaches them to be very aggressive because the life there is more like survival of the fittest. And she was almost more playing the same way. So it was just to calm her down. Not every time that's going to be attacking. You need to strategize, you need to plan well, get your pieces ready for that attack.
What makes Phiona great, though, is that she has something that can't be taught. It's this instinct, this ability to see the right move many moves in advance, knowing that the wrong move could mean death. That's a lesson she learned growing up in Kotwe.
We had no money, we had nothing. In our area, women are so, they're always underlooked. So I feel like I have to win that game.
Within a year, Phiona was beating the boys at Agape Church, including Coach Robert. Soon she was visiting boarding schools and beating the kids there. Then she played university players and whipped them too. In 2007, 11-year-old Phiona Mutesi won Uganda's junior championships and the national championships just a few years after that.
We shall live together. We shall live together. We shall live together someday.
Dear Mom, I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Today I went to the airport. This time I thought that I was in heaven. I asked God to protect me. Pray that we reach well. Pray to God to make my promise possible. In Jesus' name, amen.
Phiona Mutesi is a Christian. It's a faith she learned at the Sports Outreach Mission, and it's one that's helped her survive in Kotwe.
When I went to chess program, I was not a Christian before. I stayed there and I listened to the story. It was so interesting, so I kept on remaining every day for the stories.
In 2010, 14-year-old Phiona flew to Siberia with Uganda's national team for the world's most prestigious tournament, the Chess Olympiad. It marked only the second time she had left the country, and it became the first time the world laid its eyes on the young chess prodigy.
There are many things which have happened to me which I can't believe. Before I joined chess, I was living just in the slum and I thought everyone lived that kind of life.
The morning after she flew back to Uganda, Phiona returned home to a hero's welcome. And soon, they came calling. The writers, the reporters. Her story has been told by CNN, ESPN, and there's a book about her life. She's toured America, spoken to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, met Gary Kasparov. Disney is making a movie about her life. Her future is bright,
I'm surprised, and sometime up to now I don't believe it, that my story has gone so far like that. A person who came from nowhere can be now inspiration to others.
At the same time, she's still just a girl, living in Kotwe, walking miles just to get clean water, dreaming about another life.
I feel, okay, sometimes I feel like I'm overwhelmed. It overwhelms me, because it doesn't matter what I've passed through, because whatever I passed through, it's already gone now. I'm looking forward for my future.
Chess is her ticket out. From the slums, from the 10-by-10 hut she calls home that she shares with her mother and siblings. And if she can escape, she can lead others to follow her path.
I feel she's a source of hope. Many children go through the same life she's been in, but I think seeing her breaking that chain, I think it's more like an inspirational story for them. And I've always encouraged the children, I told them no excuses none whatsoever. With God, everything is possible. The sky is the limit.
To be African is to be an underdog in the world. To be Ugandan is to be an underdog in Africa. To be from Kotwe is to be an underdog in Uganda. And to be a girl is to be an underdog in Kotwe. And yet, in Kotwe, the unlikeliest place of all, the Queen stands tall.
What a wonderful story. With God, all things are possible. Well, Phiona is still going strong, and right now she's in Norway for the latest itineration of the Chess Olympiad. And there's another happy little postscript to her story. Sports Outreach has just broken ground on a brand new ministry center in Uganda. Soon they'll be able to feed, educate, and mentor even more children. And you can follow their progress by going to sportsoutreach.net.
Wonderful story. Well, we've only showed you a small part of Phiona's story. You can get more in the book, The Queen of Kotwe. It's available in stores nationwide, and I think it'll bless you. Coming up, we've got a front row seat to a town celebration. And why is everyone so happy? You'd be too if this happened to your home, so don't go away.
Hello, I'm Terry Newsom. Did you know there are more than 148 million orphans in the world today? 148 million. But it was 3 little girls that taught me about the plight of orphans. 8 years ago, my husband and I spent nearly a month immersed in the daily activities of a Ukrainian orphanage as we waited to adopt 3 sisters. I saw firsthand the utter loneliness, the pain of rejection, and the overwhelming desire to be loved. That experience changed me forever. And out of it grew a ministry from my heart called Orphans Promise. Today, we're helping orphans and vulnerable children in more than 50 countries worldwide. Thousands of children are now in safe homes. They're being educated, and they're learning life skills. I'm asking you to join with me and become family to these children. Will you call the number on your screen right now? Because every child deserves a chance to be happy.
Started running with some stunt guys when I first got in the motion picture business. So I put up a front, like I had it all together. I didn't know how to make my life work, and I was scared to death that somebody would find out. They invited me to church, and as I went through the door, I did the only macho thing I could do. I cried, and it was tears of release. When I got saved, I got filled, and I never knew I was empty.
Nigeria has been in the headlines primarily because of the Boko Haram attacks, and yet there's something even more deadly inside the country. More than 1/3 of the people there have no access to clean water. Dan Rainey visited one village where the water has killed young and old alike, and he was shocked by what he saw.
In northern Nigeria lies Bekin-Riga, a sleepy village where people eat communal meals and children make toy cars from bamboo sticks. Life is peaceful here and the people kind, but this village has never had clean water.
We fetch water from a dirty pond. When our children drink it, they get very sick. I had 6 children, but one of them died. 2 others are sick right now. I don't know if they will get better.
My children always have tummy aches. My stomach hurts too. We went to a doctor and he said it was from the bad water.
I talked to Chief Dahiro Usman about the village's water problem.
Women lose their babies. Old and young die from stomach infections. Their graves are everywhere. Sickness has plagued this village and my people because of that pond.
You think some of the women would take me to the old water source?
Yeah.
I took a basin and went to the pond. Just over the hill and down a rocky path, it wasn't too far from the village. But what I saw there surprised me.
That's disgusting. So they're using an old scarf to filter the slime out of this water. And I see that animals have been all around this area, and I'm sure that if cholera isn't in this water now, it's been in it before. And it's terrible to think that anybody's ever had to drink this water. And families here have been drinking it for years, generations. Sometimes they do this 5 or 6 times a day.
But I knew this was one of the last times anyone would have to get water from that dirty pond.
They're singing a song of praise, saying that for years we were suffering with bad water, but today we have clean water. They're praising God for it and praying that the people that helped make it happen will be blessed.
CBN had just dug a new well for the village. We were there the day of the dedication. The whole village came out to celebrate with singing, dancing, and drumming. Down at the well, on that 115-degree day, everyone was happy to finally have fresh, clean water.
Now we are so happy. When I look at my people, every face shines.
This new water tastes so good. All of my children will be healthy now. There is no more sickness.
We have good water and our stomach aches are gone. The children and all of us are very happy. Thank you.
CBN has clean water projects around the world, and I hope that story gives you just some idea of how desperately needed it is. Can you imagine? Think of all the things during the day that you do that simply require the twisting of a faucet. And you have hot water, you have cold water, but mostly you have clean water. In many, many parts of the world, that's not possible. Will you help us provide clean water for parts of the world that simply have never had any? As Dan said, generations have gone without. Help us to make a difference for their children, for their lives every day. And you can do that by joining the 700 Club. It's 65 cents a day, $20 a month. And together, you and I and thousands like us can actually make a difference in the lives of people who've been suffering for years. When you join the 700 Club, will you do it using Pledge Express? That's electronic monthly giving. It means your bank does all the work. I love it. You don't have to have envelopes or stamps on hand. You don't even have to remember to mail anything. It's all done for you. It saves us some processing costs, so even more of your gift can be put directly into the opportunity to provide clean water for people who don't have it. Our way of saying thank you for using Pledge Express is to send you a Power for Life teaching. You'll get one of these every month, and we think they'll be a blessing to you. So call now. There's the toll-free number on your screen. It's 1-800-888-777-1999. Just say, I want to join the 700 Club, and I want to do it using Pledge Express. Gordon?
Well, up next, a discovery that could stop a problem that kills a child in Africa every 30 seconds.
That bacteria in that mosquito was a gift from God to man to control mosquitoes.
Hear about this medical miracle when we come back.
I just had hit a point that I couldn't take it anymore.
Can't you get it through your head? I just don't love you.
God, if you are really real, make yourself real to me.
Change my life and put the pieces back together. And if he did it for me, he can do it for anybody. Nothing is impossible with God.
When a historic flash flood hit Pensacola, Florida, many families lost practically everything they owned.
You knew pretty much everything had to have been gone.
Nancy and Tony Hunter both serve others working as nurses. The first step they needed to take was gutting their home before mold set in, but they have no one to help them.
If I'd had to face this on my own, it'd been pretty difficult.
That's when Operation Blessing arrived with dozens of volunteers.
The body of Christ is supposed to be there for each other, and you guys are.
These are the things you make possible when you partner with CBN. Thousands of people around the world begin new lives because you cared enough to give. To those of you who recently pledged to join the 700 Club, thank you. Your help will make a tremendous difference in so many lives. Be sure to watch for this mailing and remember to send in your pledge, because when we all come together to help, miracles happen.
CBN TV on CBN.com. All the video you love in one easy-to-use location.
Well, from mosquito nets to pesticides, scientists have tried different ways to stomp out malaria. And now they're getting some help. A new invention aims to stop malaria where it starts and save millions of lives, one family at a time. Ephraim Graham has more.
From carriage rides to Spanish moss hanging from the trees, Savannah's southern charm inspires the music of Thomas Kohlers. A classically trained musician, Kohlers is also the lead scientist at Mev Labs.
You can see they're already becoming adults, and this was only after a day.
He started the company with a mission to fight deadly mosquito-borne illnesses in developing countries. It became his passion after watching a 5-year-old die in Thailand.
Mom was holding his hand. The boy was in a coma from dengue fever. And his little sister was crying. And sorry, it was a little bit. And I don't care how many times I tell the story, when you see a kid dying, it does something to you.
It led to 12 years of testing ways to reduce the mosquito population, which would ultimately mean fewer cases of malaria. And it's no accident that Dr. Kohlers chose the picturesque Savannah, Georgia area as home base for his business, because beyond all this beauty, this is also the perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes.
This is a CDC, Centers for Disease Control, mosquito light trap.
Even the backyard of Mev Labs is a test kitchen.
I don't give up. I don't give up.
Persistence led Dr. Kohlers to a biopesticide called Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, or BTI. An Israeli scientist first discovered it in the 1940s to kill larvae before they hatched.
That bacteria in that mosquito was a gift from God to man to control mosquitoes.
Kohlers then discovered how to get BTI to kill actual mosquitoes while also killing larvae in infested waters. And after what he calls a miracle meeting on an airplane,
we're in the warehouse.
Kohlers joined forces with William Rocky Parker, the CEO of MIT Holding, a Savannah-based company, now helping to package his discovery into a bright plastic flower that attracts mosquitoes to the bait that kills them. The completed product is called the Prevector.
We want to take this thing worldwide. We want to go global. We want to be able to help every single person out there. We don't need a single person to be dying from malaria.
There are about 250 mosquitoes inside this cage. That's the amount you'd find in a home in Kisumu, Kenya in just 5 minutes. And those females are out for blood so they can produce eggs. Here right now on my arm, these are a painful annoyance. But in that village in Kenya, it could be deadly. A child dies there from malaria every 70 seconds.
Trust me, malaria is bad. It's no fun.
Malaria nearly killed Emmanuel Cloti. He was just 8 years old.
Even as I talk, talk about it now and I recall my own illness with malaria, I can still feel the heat on my body. As if I'm having it right now.
In the Kibera slum of Nairobi, more than 70% of residents have been affected by malaria. Cloti and Dr. Kohlers traveled there to set up a community prevector project and to teach mothers how to use it.
Over time, the mosquito population will go down.
This is now one of more than 100 prevector community projects in more than 30 countries. Researchers like the World Health Organization are studying the results.
We now actually are getting ready to take this product into Nigeria.
It's now Walt Bird's mission to take the prevector to the world. He's MIT Holdings Missions Director.
God instilled that in me, that passion, that vision to help get the prevector out. So here we are now, ready to get it out.
Back at Mev Labs, Dr. Kohlers plays his favorite tune, and it means even more today. God bless the child.
I'm so blessed that God let me know what I'm supposed to be doing. He said, because of what you've done, because of your invention, tens of thousands of children will hear about the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And while the work has not been easy, it has been worth it. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Savannah, Georgia.
What a wonderful project to stomp out malaria around the world. And I know firsthand how horrible that is. I got malaria in Thailand, cerebral malaria, and it nearly killed me. If it hadn't been for a miracle from God, I wouldn't be alive today. What a wonderful thing to think that together we can stomp it out. We can save children in Africa and Thailand and Myanmar and Burma. It's amazing when we put our minds to it what we can do. Well, we've got some questions, so let's go over to Jessica for more.
Well, Gordon, we have an email from Eliza who says she's 15 years old and loves the Lord. She has a desire to go into the missions field, but she feels discouraged because she's too young. And so she wants to know, what can she do in the meantime? Gordon?
Eliza, number one, and I think this needs to be always number one, spend time with the Lord. In the very first mission outreach in Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem took note that the disciples had been with Jesus. People will take note. The more you spend time with him, you'll be just like Moses spending time on the mountain in Sinai, where his face started to shine. There'll be a difference to you, and people will want to know, what's that difference? The second thing, I encourage you to read the biographies of the great missionaries. I know in my years living in the Philippines and Asia, I was really struck by the biographies of Hudson Taylor, William Carey, and get to know them. I read the biographies of the Jesuits, Xavier and others. Read those, and then read as much as you want to, as much as you can, about whatever country, whatever area of the world God has put on your heart. Get to know that culture, get to know the language, so that when you are old enough to go, you'll be ready. Let's go back for one more question.
Gordon, here's one more question. This is from Abby. She says, I'm a missionary in a third world country, and I freely give to beggars on the street, but there are a few who have refused my help. They say they don't want a handout from the government or any sort of Christian church organization. What should I do? Gordon?
Abby, in my experience, I would pray about what to do effectively. If people don't want a handout, there's a reason for it. Handouts tend to rob them of dignity. And think of ways you can give them a hand up, where you can give them a hope and a future. Not just a handout, but a hope and a future. That's what God wants to do. We leave you with these words from Psalm 22. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations shall worship before you.